Welcome to my Bloomburrow set review. Today we're going to go over the cards you'll see in the drafts and also things you would see at like the release this weekend. We're going to start with the white cards. So try to do this really quickly, but anyways, start here. Okay, so Banishing Light. It is a 2 generic white enchantment. When Banishing Light enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent opponent controls until Banishing Light leaves the battlefield. This type of card used to be an uncommon in past sets. It's very good. I mean, it can deal with a lot of things you might have problems with, like, not just creatures, but like enchantment artifacts. That being said, I had this rated lower because of all the ETBs, especially like offspring tokens, and there's at least 4 or 5 different ways to destroy an enchantment. So it's like makes this less reliable as a removal spell. So I have it rated as C plus. And then Beza the Bounding Spring, 2 generic and 2 white legendary creature elemental elk. When Beza the Bounding Spring enters, create a treasure token if an opponent controls more lands than you. You gain 4 life if an opponent has more life than you. Create 2 1/1 bluefish creature tokens if an opponent controls more creatures than you. Draw a card if an opponent has more cards in hand than you. So yeah, like this has a lot of text on it. You'll probably trigger like 2 of the modes or whatever when you play it. I mean, the fail case is that's a 4 mana 4/5, which frankly nowadays I guess is like an uncommon. But like if you are triggering at least like 2 of the modes here, you're gonna be like happy. Like it's basically like having Sunset Revelry attached to a 4/5 for 4. So I have it rated as an A. Very good. Bravekin Duo, 1 white, creature, rabbit, mouse, 1 generic, tap. Target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn, activate only a sorcery. Um, I think the closest, like, comparison I would make here is, like, Traveling Minister from, like, Crimson Vow. That also had, like, life gain synergy, though, because it gained life. This also costs mana to activate, which makes it like a lot worse in my opinion, even though it does also give like a toughness unlike Traveling Minister. So I have this rated as a C minus. If the Valiant archetype ends up being really good and you just need this for the targeted ability, then it would go up to like a C, but just right now things like Bright Blight Stoat, 1 generic and a white creature, Weasel Soldier, first like lifelink 2/2. I mean, seeing like a 1 man, 1 white, or sorry, 1 generic and a white first strike at common, that's like very reasonable. First strike and lifelink, that I mean it changes things. It's like good with like pump spells, like we saw before, or things that pump a creature's power just because the threat of gaining life and also the first strike makes it hard to attack into. So I have it written down as a B minus just because it's very annoying to attack into and is good with like pump spells and whatnot. Just because lifelink is very lifelink and first strike are very combination. Builder's Talent, 1 generic and a white enchantment class. The classes, they basically you can pay the mana and activate the ability as a sorcery to add to or to pay the mana cost to level it up. Um, when Builder's Talent enters, create a 0/4 white wall creature token with Defender, white, level 2. Whenever 1 or more non-creature, non-land permanents you control enter, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. And then 4 generic and white level 3. When this class becomes level 3, return target non-creature, non-land permanent from your graveyard to the battlefield. So like on the base, it's a 2 mana 0/4, and it rewards you for putting in non-creature, non-land permanents. So like the most obvious thing to like combo of this would be like food. You want to generate food to work with it because it only triggers off non-creature, non-land permanents, and then it can resurrect a non-creature, non-land permanent, which I'm assuming is probably just going to be like another enchantment, like, or whatever. So I just have a raid as a D minus because I don't know how. Like, you're probably gonna need to build your deck around it pretty hard to like actually get like the counters, and then this. I don't know. I guess yeah, because you can't even like return. Well, I mean, yeah, you can't even return like a land because there are some land that you sacrifice. So I just don't know. Hard to play in draft, but I don't know. There's a carrot cake. Oh, it's synergy with carrot cake, right? It's fair. Okay, maybe it's because it's got that synergy. Okay, so caretaker's talent, 2 generic and a white, enchantment class. Whenever one or more tokens you control enter, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. 1 white, level 2. When this class becomes level 2, create a token that's a copy of target token you control, and then 3 generic and a white, level 3. Creature tokens you control get +2/+2. So this is like a card that is like pretty insane if you're in a token deck, and then if you're not in the token deck, it's pretty bad. I think there's like enough token makers in white that I would rate this as a B, but on the other hand, I have actually seen people in the early access somehow draft white decks, base white decks that don't have any creature tokens or any. So like if that's the case, then I would avoid playing this card. Token generation all, but just the card draw and the team pump. It seems really good. I don't know about the cloning because like most of the tokens I've seen are like 1/1s. So it's like cloning it is not like that great. I guess you could clone a food or clone a treasure token, but um okay, so carrot cake, 1 white, 1 generic and a white artifact food. When carrot cake enters and when you sacrifice it, create 1/1 white rabbit creature token, scry 1. And then 2 and a white, sacrifice carrot cake, you gain 3 life. So, the thing that's cool about this card is that yes, it's a food, so it works with like your forage things, like the forage being a black-green mechanic, and then it does make a token, which is like it works with like the white-green token synergies, and then it also has you can also sacrifice it to gain life, which works with the black-white life gain, life loss synergies. So I don't know. It's kind of slow, like on the surface. I have it rated as a C minus, but I guess if you have like multiple needs for this, I could see it being a C, but or a C plus even. But it just does seem a little slow. I think the format is going to be kind of aggressive from what I've seen, just in terms of like the curves. But we'll see. From and get it, 1 white, instant, gift of food. So this is a new mechanic in the set. Like promise you can promise the opponent a gift when you cast a spell, and then the gifting happens before the other effects of the spell happen. It's like um in this case you'd be giving them a food. And then so it's like target creature you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If the gift was prominent, that creature also gains indestructible until end of turn. So I mean, 1 mana combat tricks are often really good. Um, I don't know so much about like the promising, because the thing I would say is like an issue with the promising is that if you're giving them a food, it does turn on opponents' forage and potentially their life gain synergy because they'll sacrifice the food later. So that may change like how excited you are about playing the card. But I just wrote it down as a C for now. But again, often like these 1 mana combat tricks and good practice. Alright, Dawn's Truce. One generic and a white instant. Gift a card. You may promise the opponent in their is this time you're gifting, but you're gifting them a card. I already explained what gift did. But you and permanents you control gain hexproof until end of turn. If the gift was promised, permanents you control also gain indestructible until end of turn. So this is like heroic intervention, which is a card that was in green, but you didn't have to gift them a card. And heroic intervention was never really like super broken and limited, and this one you actually have to gift them the card to get like the indestructibility part. Usually these type of cards seem like they have a lot of good upside, but in practice they don't play very well. Like if you remember like playing, I think there was a safe passage card in like Wilds of Eldraine, so I had it rated as a D. But just because it's very situational. I mean, there may be a situation where, again, you might be able to line up like a big trade, I guess, where you block 3 of their things or something and then do this, and then you have to give them a card. It's really like a 2 for 3, and you have a lot of work to do it, and like a Dewdrop Cure, 2 generic and a white sorcery, gift a card. Return up to 2 target creature cards, each with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. If the gift was promised, instead return up to 3 target creature cards, each with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So, I put this down as like a D again, just because I think this is like one of those cards that is going to be very situational. So they've had like this type of card before, like Patch Up from like Streets of New Kenna. It was like a kind of a, let me throw it up here. So New Capenna, like, right, this is like kind of, or I guess you can't really see it very well, but it's similar, I guess. Like this one limits you to total mana value 3. But I don't know. I guess if you have like some really really good cards to get back, sure. But like this might just rot in your hands. Looking for like a situation where you can get like the 2 cards back, and a like if there would need to be a very specific situation, I guess, where you're like okay with giving them a card in exchange for another 2 drop. Get another 2 drop back, but I don't know. So Driftgloom Coyote, 3 generic, 2 white, creature elemental coyote. When Driftgloom Coyote enters, exile target creature an opponent controls until Driftgloom Coyote enters the battlefield. If that creature had power 2 or less, put a +1/+1 counter on Driftgloom Coyote as a 3/4. Um, it's a pretty big body for this set. Like, just because a lot of the things seem to like hover around like 3 or less toughness or whatever. There's like creatures kind of small. I mean, it can, it has like the usual downside to playing Banish or Priest is, you know, they remove it in the middle of combat, and then all of a sudden like that creature's there, it's gonna block or something. But I mean, the body is usually a lot better. I mean, the body is a lot better than what you usually see for like Banish or Priest. Banish or Priest being like a 3 mana 2/2. But this is like a 5 mana 3/4 that might actually be like bigger than that. It might be like a 4/5. So I don't know. I'd have it rated as a C plus, because I think again there's some tension with like these types of creatures where, you know, they get removed at the wrong time. It can be problematic, but just the threat of having like a 4/5, for example, that It could be like a 4/5 that just exiled your opponent's token. And then fine. Exiled their 1/1 token forever. Essence Channeler, 1 white, so 1 generic and a white creature bat clear. As long as you've lost life this turn, Essence Channeler has flying and vigilance. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on Essence Channeler. When Essence Channeler dies, put its counters on target creature you control into 2/1. So, this doesn't have flying unless you've lost life this turn, and I mean, I guess if you playing this card and you don't have any way to like gain life or lose life, it's really bad. But if you're building, I mean, the assumption is that you would have built around this card to do something with it. So I put it down as like a B minus based on, you know, I guess what you could potentially do with it. You know, like if you have a lot of life loss and life gain, it'll be like a lot better, and then you can threaten to move counters somewhere else. But if you don't have any of these, if you don't have any gain life at all, you should not play this card. Playing it. Okay, so Feather of Flight, 1 generic and a white, enchantment aura, flash, enchant creature. When Feather of Flight enters, draw a card. Enchanted creature gets +1/+0 and has flying. So this is Angelic Gift. It's an uncommon, or sorry, Angelic Gift was a common, but this is an uncommon, and it gives plus power this time. So that is like an upgrade over it. It's good in specifically, I think, the going to be good specifically in the like the Valiant archetype, because you just want to target your guy with a spell and also draw a card. I mean, just in general, it also has flash, so it's like can be like a combat trick. Like maybe your opponent attacks with like their flying creature, and then you buff your like 4/4 ground guy to like a 5 or whatever, and block it. Another thing to consider. So that makes it better than Angelic Gifts. So it's like it's basically just like a combat trick that sticks around, and like Fey Flight was, I guess, was like similar to like this card, and like Fey Flight wasn't like rated very highly, so I had this at a C. But because again, I don't know, like if the Valiant archetype ends up being really good, it could be like a C plus. But I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying like that's just how I had it rated. It was like average. Like most of the cards in this set, in my set review, are going to be falling into like the C minus or C range. But anyways, so Flowerfoot Swordmaster, 1 white creature, mouse soldier, offspring 2. So offspring is like a new ability. You can pay the additional mana cost as you cast a spell, and then when the creature enters, you make a 1/1 token copy of it. So like some offspring cost like 3 or like 4. This one costs 2. And Valiant says whenever this creature becomes a target of spell or ability you control for the first time each turn, mice you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. So I had this as a C plus. I mean, it's like it's either a 1/2 for 1 or a 2/3 for 2. If you are offspringing it, it does make like the Valiant potentially better. I mean, you're going to need to clearly have to like target both of them. There is like I think there are like a couple spells that will let you target multiple things. If you wanted to trigger the Valiant twice, and then I mean, Offspring also just plays well with the Valiant itself because you're making another mouse, which would get buffed by the Valiant when you target. So, yeah, I had it as a C plus. So Harvest Right Host, 2 generic and a white creature rabbit citizen. Whenever Harvest Right Host or another rabbit you control enters, Target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Then draw a card the second time this ability is resolved this turn. So, I mean, this is like a card that's like good when you can like if you're actually in like the rabbit deck, then it's pretty good. It also has like again some crossover with the red white mice deck because they want to be able to like target things. So I put it down as a C plus. Um, but again, if you don't have like any other rabbits or whatever, then you would not want to play this because it won't trigger. But I mean, I think there's like looking at it, I think there's like enough like cards that make multiple rabbits that you would be interested in playing this, and then you could potentially draw the card off of the thing. Like it does sort of remind me of I think it was like Eavesdropper or something. It was like the one from New Capenna that was like it didn't quite play out that great, but I think in New Capenna the whole alliance, not Eavesdropper, but I don't know, it's like rumor something or New Capenna. Rumor Gatherer, yeah, it's like I guess on the other hand, this was also hard to cast, and it was hard to cast, and like the body was pretty bad because it's 1 for 3. Yeah. Alright, speaking of cards that synergize, there's this hop to it. 2 and a white sorcery. Create 3/1/1 white rabbit creature tokens. Now, like I think this card's gonna be pretty important in the rabbit deck. Just because like it makes multiple because there's things that care about tokens and also things that care about you having multiple creatures that enter the battlefield that turn. So I have that as a C plus. Just because I think this is going to be kind of important. Rabbit go away decks. Rabbit, 2 generic and away. Creature rabbit soldier offspring 1. When this creature enters, target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So again, this is like offspring will trigger those multiple creatures entering the battlefield type thing. So you can look at it as like a it's like Herald of the Fair, which was let's see, Herald of the Fair, Skyfall. Similar to this card, except you can pay 1 more, and then you get a token that also you get a 1/1 token that also gives you another trigger. So just because of that, I would put that as a C plus because you kind of need this for your Rabbit Go Wise synergies and also like the Valiant because Valiant's not 2 Valiant but 2 triggers for the Valiant, so you kind of need this, right? Channeler is like the new beast color for white. Oh yeah, I think so. The thing with like these sets is there's definitely like cards that are like they have some abilities that are like reminiscent of previous cards, right? You know, so it's like a kind of felt okay. Yeah, it is going by the set number color, I guess. We're on white right now. So Jackdaw Savior, 2 generic and a white creature, bird, cleric, flying. Whenever Jackdaw Savior or another creature you control with flying dies, return another target creature card with lesser mana value from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it's a flying 3/1. Not like insane or whatever by itself. Like you, it also like so there is like a blue white flying slash non-flying creature synergy. Um, this doesn't require you to be playing non-flying creatures, so theoretically you could get back like another flying creature with it. Like if you had, you would need this to so this will die at the very minimum into like a 2-drop, assuming you had like a 2-drop or I guess like a 1-drop in your graveyard or whatever, but then you won't be able to do the chain. It does make like combat a little bit awkward, like if you have like other flying creatures that like because it buffs all your flying creatures with this ability. So yeah, so I had it written down as like a B. Because imagine you can get this back or something later with some other card and then replay it, and then I think that would be like an example of like a good card to like recur. Okay, so Jolly Gerbils, 1 white, and sorry, 1 generic and a white creature hamster citizen. Whenever you give a gift, draw a card, and it's 2/3. I mean, a 2/3 for 2 is like above the curve. The upside of getting the draw card whenever you get a gift, it really offsets like the usual downside of like giving your opponent a card if you can also get the card back. So I put it down as a C plus. Okay, so this card, Life Creed Duo, 1 and a white creature Batbird. Flying, whenever another creature you control enters, you gain 1 life. So like these duo creatures, they they're kind of like glue because like they do one thing that like two like they do one thing that like or they do two things, like one for like each color pair, or like I guess it's like because this is kind of like a card that would go into your white black deck or your white blue deck. um so yeah, I mean, a 2 mana 1/2 isn't really that exciting. Like, I think this gets better if you have like life gain synergies, or if you need like the types on it. But I mean, just on the surface, I wouldn't play like a 2 mana 1/2 flying, even if it gives you like a little bit of life, because nobody was really excited about playing you know the the Lunar veteran from like Midnight Hunt. Like the reason Lunar veteran from Midnight Hunt was good was because it had like the ability to flash it back or whatever as a flyer, so like that was made better. So um I would just have it as like a C minus. I think maybe if you have like the life gain synergies or you need the bat and bird, it will obviously go up, but like this stat line is not like very impactful usually. Right, Mabel's Metal, 1 generic and a white. Instant target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Up to 1 other target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So this mainly is good because it triggers Valiant on 2 creatures. Um, I think the challenge here I would see is like, can you actually win? Like, you can win 1 combat with this, but can you win like 2 combats? Like 2 combats and then like 2 different blocks, whatever. With this, that's going to be a challenge. So I had it written out to see. But I guess if you really need the Valiant, it being higher than that. So Mouse Trapper, 2 generic and a white creature, Mouse Soldier, Flash, Valiant. Whenever Mouse Trapper becomes a target spell or ability you control the first time each turn, tap target or the opponent controls. I don't really like the stat line on this. Like it's a 2 for 3. It does have flash. Um, it also only triggers once per turn. But I guess logically, like if you're valianting, you're probably not going to be like targeting this multiple times. I mean, if you're like really aggressive, this could, or I guess tempo-y or whatever, you could like flash this in at the end of your turn and then play like a combat trick or like a fight spell, for example, and target this, and then kill one of your opponent's creatures and tap down the other one. So I'll put it down as a C for now, but I know Isaiah was like really excited about this card. He really liked this Mousetrapper card, but I don't know. I'm still don't know because I haven't played the set yet. Okay, Nettleguard, 1 generic and a white. Creature, mouse, soldier, valiant. Whenever Nettleguard becomes a target of a spell or ability you control for the first time each turn, it gets +0/+2 until end of turn, and then 1 sacrifice Nettleguard, destroy target artifact and enchantment. So I mean, this is like a pretty staple type card, right? It's just, you know, the 2 mana 3/1 that you can sack to destroy an artifact or enchantment, and it's even it kind of feels also like that was different because that triggered on like creatures entering the battle or permanents entering non-land permanents entering the battlefield. I'm thinking about like the mouse from Wilds of Eldraine that got like +0/+2 based on like non-land or the non-land permanents entering the battlefield when you had like 2 or more non-land battlefield. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of artifacts and enchantments. It'll be fine, you know, to play it. Put it down as a C. Go play it. Sure. And Parting Gust, 2 white, instant, gift a tap fish, exile target non-token creature. If the gift wasn't promised, return that creature to the battlefield under its owner's control with +1/+1 counter on it at the beginning of the next step. I mean, we've had this type of card before, like, you know, the like bovine intervention, that type of thing. This is not quite as bad. It gives them a tapped fish. It only hits creature, also non-token. It doesn't. You cannot. You can only hit non-tokens with it. It's just so that you can't just use this to like exile a token permanently. But it's like kind of like a mix of like bovine intervention type card and also Otherworldly Journey, which was like a spell from like Kamigawa. You use to blink your creature and then bring it back to the battlefield. Alright, enjoy your lurk. So I think the main issue I have with this card is the double white, and then it is giving them a resource still when it comes back. So I put it down as a D plus. Like, I mean, you can use it as like emergency removal, but I mean, you're still giving, like, if you use it as emergency removal, you're still giving them like a creature, which is usually not like the best. Look at things like the witness card, witness protection type of thing. Maybe a pleated provisioner or pileated, pileated provisioner, or generic and white creature, bird scout, flying. When pileated provisioner enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control while flying. It's 3/4. You know, it's like Sterling supplier. It can only but it can only target a non-flying creature or whatever. Which, that's a fine restriction. You just have to be aware of like that restriction. It only buffs like a non-flying creature. It is a 5-drop. You probably can't play too many 5-drops, but put it as a C. You know, it feels like a very aggressive format. You probably don't want to load up too much on like those 5-drops. Rabbit response, 2 generic and 2 white instant. Creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. If you control a rabbit, scry 2. So yeah, this is like basically inspired charge, except it gives you scry 2 if you control a rabbit. I mean, we just had like a similar card to this in, you know, MKM. like on the job. On the job, it gave you a clue. It didn't require you to have a creature type. This one gives you Scry 2, which is kind of like 75% of a card, but you need to have a rabbit. Um, like it's always kind of interesting to see like these team pumps that give you something to do afterwards. Because usually when you cast like team pumps, you should be winning the game. But I guess logically, sometimes you play this, and then there is like more turns played games. I just put it down as a C. Like, I think this is also like a card that gets like overplayed. Like, people play this in like their decks of like 13 creatures, and then they like wonder why it's not working very well. But like white has like enough ways to like make a lot of tokens that I think this could be better than the C, but I'm just gonna rate it lower because like we'll play it wrong decks. Okay, Repel Calamity, one generic and a white instant. Destroy target creature with power or toughness 4 or greater. So it's like reprisal, except it can also target toughness as well. Like I guess Valorous stance would target toughness 4. I think this card will definitely have like some matchups where it doesn't hit anything at all, but I don't know, like the fact that it can hit power 4 or toughness 4 or greater, like that I'll put it as a C for now, but it might be more like sideboard fodder in some matchups. Okay, Salvation Swan, 3 generic and a white. Creature, bird, cleric, flash flying. Whenever a Salvation Swan or another bird you control enters, exile up to one target creature you control while flying. Return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a flying counter on it at the end. So yeah, it's gonna save one of your non-flying creatures. You can also just play it end of turn to like give one of your non-flying creatures flying. Um, it's not going to like win any games on its own per se, but I mean it is still like a flash 3/3 flyer that can surprise give one of like it can save one of your other creatures from removal or like a bad combat that went poorly, like maybe you're playing a combat trick and then it also gives that other creature flying, so I put it down as an A minus just because it's a very strong effect. And I mean the fail case isn't even really that bad. Like a flash 3/3 flyer is fine. Season the Burrow, 3 generic, 2 white sorcery. Choose up to 5 paw worth of modes. You may choose the same mode more than once. Paw. Create a 1/1 or 1 paw. Create a 1/1 white rabbit creature token. 2 paw. Exile target non-land permanent. Its controller draws a card, and then 3 paw. Return target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield in the counter on. Let's see. Put this down as a B. Like it's not. It's pretty flexible. Like sometimes you'll make like the 5 tokens. Sometimes you'll make like 3 tokens and exile something. Maybe you'll choose like return a permanent and then exile a non-land permanent and draw a card. I mean, it's flexible. Season Warren Guard white. Like rabbit warrior. Whenever Season Warren Guard attacks what you control token, Season Warren Guard gets +2/+0 until end of turn. It's a 1/2. Um, like like this type of card is like really good when you're on the play and you're curving out with the token. It's obviously not as good if you're like on the draw. I guess it is a 1/2. It could block 1/1s fine. I'll put it as a C. But there's definitely going to be some games where like this is like not as impactful because you need to play this on one want to play it, you want to curve out a token the next turn so that like it attacks as two. It's there's some hoops you need to like jump for it. Right, Strike Force, 2 generic and a white creature, bird knife, flying, double strike, vigilance, 1/3. So like back in my day, you used to get like a 1/1, or I think it's like Leon and Sky Knight or something. Leon, I don't know. There was like a 3-mana 1/1 flying double strike or whatever, and it's like clearly it's better because it's a flying double strike vigilance and it's a 1/3. It's like good because it's going to like, you know, discourage your opponent from attacking with a lot of things, and then if you have a way to increase its power, it could be like a pretty fast clock by itself or whatever. So that's just something to like maybe out, like if you want to buff it somehow. So put it down as a plus. Just it'll probably be mostly just like functionally like a 2/3 flyer for like 3, which isn't that exciting, but if you can throw some bumps on it or like counters, and be more excited. Okay, Sonar Strike, 1 and a white instant. Sonar Strike deals 4 damage to target attacking, blocking, or tapped creature. You gain 3 life if you control that. Usually this type of card is like a D, because it's just like very situational. Um, you know, like Divine Arrow or whatever is like, you know, not like a card you're like super excited, because the issue with like Divine Arrow is like if they don't attack or block with the creature, then you never get to cast it. This can hit like tapped creatures, but there's gonna be like sometimes when, at least with this card, like your opponent doesn't like actually like attack with a creature, but it has like a static ability you care about, so it's going to be a little annoying. The greening 3 life isn't bad. I mean, it's like, or you know, it's like it's going to be better than like Deadly Riposte, I guess, in that case. Like on Deadly Riposte, deal 3 life, go 4 damage. I put it down as a C minus, but there'll be like sometimes like you just can't actually kill the creature you want to kill with it. But I mean, it only costs 2. It's not that big of a deal. Star Charter, 3 generic and a white creature, back cleric, flying. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained or lost life this turn, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card with power 3 or less from among them and put it in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random one. We need like Sierkovitz to like come in and talk about how many creatures have like power 3 or less. But this is like a pretty solid payoff for being in like the black white life gain or life loss archetype. There'll probably be sometimes like you go to hoops to gain the life and then nothing, don't actually reveal like 3, and then you go like, oh, that sucks. But um and I put it down as a C plus. Just I think I'm rating it lower because like the body is sort of a liability because it is only 1 toughness. So like you can't really block anything with it, but I guess you weren't really wanting to block with like your 3 power flyer. And okay, Starfall Invocation, 3 generic and 2 white sorcery. Gift a card. Destroy all creatures. If the gift with promise, return a creature card, put it into the graveyard this way to the battlefield under your control. So usually the problem of like these board wipes is that you know, uh it's hard, especially when it costs like 5 mana. It's like a little hard to like get like a lot of value off of it because it's like, oh, I play a creature and then all of a sudden I need my opponent to play like 3 creatures for this to actually be like a card advantage or whatever. But um, there may be like some scenarios like your opponent has like 3 creatures and one of them is really good, and then you like board wipe and then you the card so that you get like the really good creature back. I put it down as a B plus for now, but a lot of times like these board wipes, they don't play out super well and like limited. Like it just depends. Um, the fact that you can again get like the best creature that was destroyed in exchange for card helps. But right, thistle down players. 2 and a white creature mouse bard. Whenever thistle down players attacks untapped target non-land permanent. So this cannot ramp you. It's a 3/3. Pretty boring. I put it down as a C minus. Pretty boring. Like I guess it untaps itself. Untap one of your other creatures, but not super excited. Valley Quest Caller, 1 generic and a white creature rabbit warrior. Whenever one or more rabbits, bats, birds, and or mice you control, and describe one. Other rabbits, bats, birds, and mice you control get +1/+1. This is 2. Yep, it's a B plus. I mean, I think it's a pretty push tribal lord. I mean, it covers every tribe in your deck, or in white or whatever at least. Anyways, there actually are some some creatures in the set that don't fit any of the tribes. But I mean, this is just gonna be like good because you pump your team and then presumably like the scry will make it more likely like when you play other creatures you can scry be pumped by this. Warren Elder, 1 and a white creature rabbit cleric, 3 and a white creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. 2/2. So 2/2s for 2 are kind of like super power creeped out of like playability, kind of like. Oh hey, thanks for the raid, Magic Brad 37. Sorry, I was like in the middle of a really big discussion, but I hope you had a great stream. Yeah, you're one to watch someone who's really talented and charismatic. You should check out Magic Brad 37. Also, hey, Soren, how's it going? Sorry, I was talking and like was doing that. So yeah, Warren Elder. It's good. I put it down as C plus because it's a good mana sink. And I mean, if you're doing the thing in your white deck, you should be going pretty wide anyway. So like the team pump is good. And then I've seen like sometimes in like the late games when the game goes long, you actually threaten a double pump with this. Like activate it twice. I mean, 1 turn, which is kind of scary. Warren War Leader, 2 generic and double white creature rabbit knight offspring 2. Whenever you attack, choose 1. Create a 1/1 white rabbit creature token that's tapped and attacking, and then attacking creatures you control with +1/+1 its answer. So this is a like you don't even like you can just play this and then just attack. Like you can play this first main phase and then attack and then get like a 1/1 or whatever. Like if they don't have any blockers, or like if you have like a bunch of creatures already, um, you get the team pump. Like the rabbit creature entering triggers your things that care about like rabbits. I mean, this is also a rabbit too. It's like, and then the offspring, like if you cast this for 6 and you get the 4/4 and the 1/1, then you're getting double triggers. Kind of busted. So it's like you could play this for 6 and then attack and then 2 rabbits, or you're making a rabbit and then pumping your team. Or pumping your team twice. It seems really insane. And Waxwing Witness. 3 generic and a white creature back cleric flying vigilance. Whenever you gain or lose life during your turn, Waxwing Witness gets +1/+0 until end of turn. It's a 2/4. Yeah, I mean it's a C. It's, I don't know, 2/4 is fine. It also only triggers on your turn. So you can't like try to make it bigger on like your opponent's turn and block. But I mean, yeah, it's a 2/4 vigilance flyer. It's not like crazy stats, but I mean it does let you like poke in for some damage, and then you're doing the gain lose life thing. It does more. You're attacking with it. That's cool. Whiskervale Forerunner, 3 generic and a white creature, Mousebard, Valiant. Whenever Whiskervale Forerunner becomes the target of a spell or ability you control for the first time each turn, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card with mana value 3 or less from among them. You may put it on the battlefield if it's your turn. If you don't put it on the battlefield, put it in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Oh boy. Yeah, that's a lot of text. I'll just put it down as a B+. Like, it's not instantly a bomb. Like, you're going to need to like target it with things. Like, if you don't have ways of targeting it, it's just a 4 mana 3/4, which is not very good stats. But the fact that this is like much better than the Star Charter, just because it looks at more cards. And I mean, I guess the activation is a little harder because you actually need to get it, but like this looks at more cards, because it looks at 5 cards, and it also lets you creature into the battlefield. And you don't have to put it on the battlefield. Like if it's bad, you could just reveal. I guess you reveal the card and you just put it in your hand. Like if it's like say a creature that like anything in the battlefield, or maybe like it has an ETB and you don't want to use it right now. So, anyways, that was the white part of the Bloomburrow set review. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to watch some more Magic content, please check out the stream at twitch.tv/MercurioBlue. But stay tuned for the next part of the set review, and we'll go over blue cards.